Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Podium Picks. Sean Woodland and Tommy Marquez here inside the Working Against Gravity studios. It's the day after Thanksgiving that we were recording this, so I'm recovering from a food coma. I ate so much yesterday that I think my blood pressure at one point of the day was like 2/1. It just flatlined pretty much. Like, you had to put the mirror in front of my nose and make sure I was still breathing. But yeah, I saved it up and went hard.
Yeah, it was funny. So Wednesday night, enjoyed a few glasses of whiskey tasting with one of my best friends from growing up, and I knew I wasn't. So Tiffany's family was going to eat early, and then my family was going to eat later. So I made sure I piled on the night before of just normal food, and then I skipped breakfast so that I can have the lunch and like stretch the stomach a little bit. But yeah, it was a very precise plan.
That's good.
But
I did not. Yeah, I kind of skipped lunch because we took the dogs to Monterey to run on the beach in the morning, and then I just had a little snack, had some appetizers, and then went hard to the paint, and it was worth every second of it. So
my gosh,
I quite enjoyed it, and hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving. But we've talked about this now. So like the battle is now underway with the holidays as far as nutrition goes, and if you are a glutton like me and you continue to eat like that for the rest of the holidays, you're going to lose all your gains. You're not going to be ready when the open rolls around. You're going to be working from a deficit, playing from behind, if you will. Working against gravity can help prevent that from happening, and they can actually get you to a place where after the holidays, you are in better shape than you were going in, and that's why we value them as our presenting sponsors.
Sean, that strategy I had wasn't entirely my own.
Yeah. Okay.
So, we've talked about with my nutritionist and that I work with through Working Against Gravity, that anytime I'm outside of my normal routine, we'll do the intermittent fasting in the morning, skip breakfast, get into the afternoon, and then I can fit my caloric intake in a smaller window to help reduce total calories across the day. Because usually, and as was the case yesterday, if I'm traveling or outside of my routine, we're eating a little bit more rich, dense foods, and that was the case. So it actually worked out perfectly because I woke up actually trending down on weight Thursday morning for Thanksgiving. And then I woke up this morning on weight, which everything worked out to a T. And I only could have done that because, trust me, if I had left to my own devices, I would have been as bad as the Cowboys were yesterday.
Oh, boy.
But that was the benefit that I got through working with my one-on-one nutrition coach. A customized meal plan with the nuances, like I said, for when I'm traveling. Weekly check-ins to kind of help set the goals week in and week out, which allowed us to kind of set a plan for Thanksgiving, and a host of other services that comes along with it. But you're only going to get that at workingagainstgravity.com. If you use the code ELITE50, you can sign up now for their nutrition coaching. You'll get $50 off your first month. Kind of get you squared away just in time for that Christmas ham that's coming down the pipe in a few weeks, or Christmas prime rib if you're a Costco shopper, and because those are impossible to ignore once you see them in the store. But and then you can also sign up and join their wait list and get early pricing and a discount for their coaching certification that goes live in January. So workingagainstgravity.com.
Yeah, workingagainstgravity.com, and if you use the code ELITE50. $50 off your first month of nutrition coaching. So definitely check them out. Okay, on today's episode, we figured that now is a time of year where a lot of people are traveling. Ideally, it's usually a time of year where we do a lot of traveling.
Yeah.
So we thought for today's Podium Picks, we should do our biggest traveling pet peeves. Now, I have quite a few of them, so it was hard to come up with just 5. But they are not all confined to just air travel, because I think that's where most people get annoyed, is at the airport and going through that whole rigmarole. So we're going to do our top traveling pet peeves today. Is it my turn to start, or is it yours?
I think it's yours. I started last week.
Okay, it's my turn to start. So we'll start with Spirit of the Games and the Dark Horse. So I will start with the Spirit of the Games, and I think that this is probably something that everybody at some point in their lives on a plane has experienced at one time or another, and that is the talkative seatmate. That is the person who sits next to you, who will not stop talking to you. And there's nothing wrong with being polite when someone sits down to say, hi, how you doing, where are you going, all that, fine. But I feel like there are some people who don't pick up on the traditional signs of, I am now done conversing, and I would like to be left alone to my own devices. And that is either like you bring out the book and you start reading, the headphones go in, that's a big one.
Oh.
Or I would even say now you like pick up the phone and you start to scroll a little bit. I think once any of those three activities happen, it should be clear to anybody with any sort of sense that, okay, now this person wants to be left alone, and that's fine. I mean, but some people just don't pick up on those signals, and you'll see them. I mean, sometimes I'll have my headphones in, and I'm like listening to music or something, and I'm sort of looking the other way, and I feel this, on the shoulder, the tap, or I look at my peripheral vision, and the person's looking at me talking. I'm going, you really can't see, and I'm not trying to be mean.
Yeah.
I just want to do my thing, or watch a movie, watch the end of Endgame again.
Yeah.
Not be bothered, and they just don't pick up on it, and it becomes excruciatingly awkward at times.
Oh man, it's the fact that I haven't had someone do it through the headphones.
Oh,
that is. That's not even like oblivious. They know what they're doing at that point.
Exactly.
They're like, I've got something I want to say, and I'm blasting right through it.
And I'm all for being nice and personable when people talk to you, and that's fine. But there are signs that you should recognize as this conversation is over, and I have things to do now, or I got to work, and people just don't recognize them. And it just puts you in a weird position.
9 times out of 10, if there's a middle-aged woman on vacation next to me, not only is she talking to me, but she's buying me a drink later that flight. Yeah.
Well, look at that. I have not gotten that treatment.
It happens all the time.
Well, then in your case, it actually might be a good thing.
I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe it make him feel dangerous, I don't know. I don't know what it is. But it's always happened. It's like chat. Stewardess comes by. Oh, I'll have a barefoot Chardonnay or whatever this young gentleman wants to drink too. And it's like,
okay then.
All right. I
remember a line that Pat Sherwood once had. I won't repeat it, but that one comes to mind.
It's almost free. Excuse me, what is the highest proof whiskey you have?
So the talkative seatmate, that is my spirit of the games. Now, my dark horse, this also applies to airline travel, and I feel like it used to not be this way, but now it is. And that's just the boarding process in general. And I, for the life of me, cannot figure out why we got away from, and some people have now gone back this way, but from boarding the back of the plane first. Why do we not do that anymore? Now they have these, look at the group, you're in group 4, and it's just like, muddles up the whole thing, and you spend, an inordinate amount of time just standing there in the jetway, crammed in there with people, because people are going, up and down stream, and it's not orderly at all, and it just delays time, and it seems like it's such a simple, common sense thing to do, but they don't do it. Now, someone once told me, someone I trust, that they've actually, studies have been done that says that doesn't speed things up, like from the back forward.
Really?
But I don't know if I buy that. I don't see how it couldn't.
I'm guilty of this, especially if I'm in the back of the plane. I always max out my carry-ons, all that stuff like that. So I like to slip a carry-on on my way in.
Oh,
so I'm like,
okay,
and this is my big faux pas is I'll be walking in. I know that I'm gonna put my backpack right above my seat or underneath my seat. And I got say our podcast gear.
Yeah.
And I don't want to lug it all the way down to the end of the plane.
Right.
Once I get out of the economy plus or whatever, where it's reserved, I just slip it in on one of those spots. And I wonder if that might slow it down.
I don't have a problem with that, but one of my future ones, I'm going to get to something along those lines. But that right there, I'm okay with.
Yeah.
So the boarding process in general, that's my dark horse, just because I feel like sometimes it's done correctly, where you board from the back of the plane, and that's such a pleasant surprise. Like when you get to Southwest and then you just get a number, I mean, have at it. That's like a free-for-all.
Yeah.
No rhyme or reason. There's fights breaking out over seats because you want to get that one that's got the leg room, the one seat that's got nothing in front of you. But yeah, I feel like that could be improved with just 100%. Very minimal effort. So
man, I kind of like the Southwest. I feel like I'm walking when you're walking in the tunnel to a Southwest flight. I feel like I'm coming out of the tunnel at the Rose Bowl, ready for
hitting that sign, board like a champion today.
I'm like, all right, who wants some? Who wants some? This is my house.
Yep,
my house.
That's right. And then the way they get you too is those A whatever's, you got to pay for those.
Oh yeah.
Because I'm always like, when I check in for Southwest, it's like I'm right there. You know, I'm like a minute ahead of time. Then go, bam, and it's like B57. What?
Yep.
How did I get into B? You know,
The biggest, I will say, the biggest scam is they let you believe that A
Yes.
is possible.
Yes.
Right? And then they pre-sell it, A-list preferred. People will pay the upcharge for it. And every time you line up at 59 or whatever, 53 or whatever a minute before is, and then you just end up B.
Exactly.
Oh, man. Or C, it stands for cargo because that's where you're going to be sitting in the cargo hold.
Flying on the wing.
Yep.
Just hang on really tightly. So those are my spirit of the games and my dark horse.
Oh man! All right, my spirit of the games, and the reason why I feel like this one is, it happens in every flight, which is why every flight I take, which is why it's kind of my spirit of the games. It doesn't always bother me so much because I know sometimes there's a purpose behind it, but I'm going to call them the immediate aisle stander. So the minute you pull in, right, and it goes ding, and the seatbelt goes off, everybody stands up right away. And I know there are some people that are like, I got to get to a connection. And if you communicate that, I'm like, go for it, man. I'm like, you
should have to be dismissed.
Yeah. Yes.
Seated until you're dismissed. Who here needs to make a connection? Bam. Yep. Which one? All right, you're gone.
Yeah.
Let's do it in an orderly way. But I hate that.
I even like if my seatmate is like got to make a connection, I'm pumping them up. I'm pumping their tires, and then right before I give them the old Gandalf, like fly, you fools, and send them out the door. But it's a lot of people just stand up and they're like, oh my god, I gotta get my bag, I get on my stuff, and I'm like, why? If you just like took a second, and I've made it a point where if I don't need to make the connection, I'll just sit there now, especially because I like a window seat or I'll just like sit. Yeah, go ahead. I got my camera. I got a bunch of other stuff. So
I'd like to get up, get my stuff, and move.
Yeah,
not just hang out.
Yeah,
so,
I would. And especially if you. And this is why it happens every flight, because there's a flight when sometimes you get in early and you're not worried about making a connection. Right. So those people that's standing up that are like, I need to make a connection. I'm like, no, you just planned your trip poorly. Right. We're 15 minutes early and you're still in a hurry.
Yeah, not my problem.
You took that one flight that was like 60% off that you bought through some shady travel deal-o-rama.com. Yeah,
that's a good one.
Yeah, my dark horse, and this is one that it could have been elevated, but doesn't happen often. But it's really, really heavy-handed when it does happen, and that's, I think he's the cousin of the talkative seatmate.
Oh,
it's the smelly food seatmate.
Oh,
so I don't know where I maybe some people just don't have good olfactory senses like Heber Cannon.
Not to mention any names.
But if the thought has ever crossed your mind that, I should leave that tuna salad out a little bit before I eat it and then bring it on a plane, or, some like really pungent salad dressing or something like that. It's one of those things where, like, just eat it before you get on the plane. I get that there are some exceptions, but have an understanding that we're all breathing the same recycled air here. And I don't want to smell your like seafood medley that you got at the Carrabba's or the Wolfgang Puck Express that you picked up that's been under a heat lamp for 3 hours. Like that is.
If there is a doubt, there is no doubt.
Yeah.
Leave it out.
Yeah.
There you go. That's my little rhyme.
I mean, there you go. If there is any doubt, leave it out.
Yep.
I love it. And there's so many food options, like quick grab and go stuff that doesn't smell like a used diaper filled with I don't know, Indian food. It's like and I don't even mind some of the other stuff. Like if you have like a really zesty salad or something like that, that's fine, but just don't get the bad. There's stuff that's like it's like the person that puts fish in the microwave, which I've been guilty of at times.
Yes, but when you do it in your own house, that's one thing. But when you do it
at work,
in the work microwave,
there used to be a couple people that would do that at HQ. That would, you're like,
oof. Yeah, not a good choice. All right, well, those are two really good ones that were absolutely on my list as well. But now, before we get into our podium, what we like to always do is get into our Whoop podium. And this week, we are going to get into our podium of a resting heart rate. So that's something that you can measure on Whoop. So we're going to look at the people in our Whoop group who for this past week have had the best resting heart rate.
Yes. So if you join us on Whoop, a Talking Elite Fitness Whoop group, you can go to your recovery, and then you can switch it by resting heart rate under the like little like descending hamburger, and you can filter by that. So these are the best resting heart rates for the week. Wow. Are these people alive? I mean, so number 1, Jeremy Lundstrom, 32.
Oof.
Number 2, Richie Carey, 34. Number 3, Chelsea Stinson, 36. Number 4, Candice Gregory, 36. Number 5, Eric Mounier, 36. Number 6, Kyle Moline, 37. Number 7, Christopher Sutton, 37. Number 8, Boris Canoe. That's a great name. 38. Number 9, Alvaro Garcia Moya Herrera, 38. Justin Abarno, 38. Everybody below 40.
Wow.
That's phenomenal. Man. Oh, just one off, but I got to give him a name for a shout for the name. Braden Bonesteel.
Wow.
38. that goes in the All Talking Elite Fitness name.
Definitely.
For All American right there. Bonesteel. That's so good. That's like the last name you would get if you allowed your kid to pick it.
Yes.
Like right when he gets into like
tungsten.
like dragons and stuff. It's like,
oh man, I may have had that heart rate yesterday after eating that tryptophan and cheesecake, man.
Congrats guys for getting that, for learning those ninja-like reflexes to lower your heart rate.
Exactly. Nice job. All right, now we are in to our podiums. Mm-hmm. Okay, so my first 2 were for air travel. Now I'm going to the car. So 3rd place, bronze medalist.
Okay.
And this is I think innate in me because I am a man, and now that I am a dad, it has become even more pronounced. And that is when you are on a car trip, driving to wherever, I don't want to stop for anything. There's no stopping. I do not want to stop during a car trip. Why? Because I want to walk into where I got. I want to be like, made it in 2.5 hours right here. Boom. That's a record.
Such a dad
Take
thing.
That. It's a total dad thing. It is a total dad thing because you don't like you want to be that. People are keeping score here.
Yeah,
you know, you talk. How long did it take you to make the drive? Oh. How was the traffic? All that is code for how fast was your time. Yeah. You know, that's what that is for. And so I do not, man. It's like let's everybody make sure you go to the bathroom before we leave. We have all the food we need. Great. Let's get on the road and let's go. We're not stopping for anything. Like I'll make sure I get annoyed at myself if I don't fill up the car like the day before. Oh, man, now I got to stop for gas. It's going to set me back at least 15 minutes.
Dude,
like this is, I'm never going to financially recover from this.
That's so funny because I always wonder why my dad would be like, "Oh, I'm going to go fill up the car tonight." I'm like, "Why? We can just stop on the way."
No. There's no stopping. Now, obviously, there are exceptions to that when you're, say, like if you're driving from here to Los Angeles, it's like a 6-7 hour drive. You have to stop. You have to, there's times. But then it becomes like a NASCAR pit stop. It's like, let's go, gas, boom, get the snacks, let's go. All right, in and out. You even time that.
Yeah,
Yeah, we stopped up in Coalinga. Only took us about 5 minutes to get everything done. Like that's another thing you can brag about. So road trips in the car, stopping for any reason whatsoever. That is travel pet peeve number 3 for me.
That's so funny because once you hit that PR, that becomes your standard for how long it takes you to get there. It's like, well, last time it only. We drove to San Diego. It only took us 6.5 hours. Like,
that's right.
What? Yeah, that was in the middle of the night. Mm-hmm. And it's funny because we used to drive from Salinas to New Mexico in one day.
Wow.
Yeah, it was 16.5 hours, 17.5 hours. And my dad was always intent on making it in one day. He hated it when we had to stop in Tucson.
That's right. Wasted time.
But, oh, damn. All right. That's good. That's really good. Number 3, I'm going to call this is a personal one of mine. So this one's called bathroom roulette.
Okay.
Or bathroom wasteland roulette is a better name for it. And you actually may have gotten a glimpse of it in one of the Buttery Bros episodes when we were in Las Vegas. Is one of my biggest pet peeves is mistiming your bathroom breaks when you're traveling, going anywhere, road trips, stuff like that. Particularly, this is more on road trips and once you're in that location. Because then once you get out of your routine And sometimes you got to go, and you got to go now.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're you're in unfamiliar territory. You're behind enemy lines, and you got to figure out where the best bathroom is, where you're not going to get some form of hepatitis, and also where if there's even one. So like sometimes, you know, if you're driving to Vegas and you're between like Vegas and Barstow, and there's nothing, and you're going through towns named after periodic tables of elements.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, what's that? Boron. Okay. Well, what about this place? Borax. And it's like, no, I'm not going to the bathroom in the scene from The Hills Have Eyes. I'm going to hold it. And then you're doing the happy dance. And then you're trying to find a good bathroom. And I have one about every, and this might be a little bit too much, but once every like 6 to 7 years, I have a situation where I'm seriously questioning, is this the day? Is this the day where I just go in my pants? Is this the day where I return to the frivolousness of youth and just let it go? And I was close on that Buttery Brothers vlog.
That's what you were telling me.
Yes.
It was quite the perilous experience.
It was, oh my gosh. And yeah, I mean, and you're doing everything. Like if I'm not driving and I have to go, you're like finding ways to like get it in as straight of a line, body framing as possible to close everything out. Yeah,
I've been there one day driving back from San Francisco to Sacramento during college, and I felt it. So people who haven't made this drive won't get the reference, but it was like the sensation started on the Bay Bridge.
Oh, okay.
So that's how early in the drive we were, and I did like. Guys, didn't want to stop for anything. Gonna make this in a record time, and I was at that point where, just like totally standing up in the, the driver's seat,
just stiff as a board.
Any twitch was just gonna. Unfortunate things were gonna happen.
Poor Kevin Daigle. Yeah. One time, I think we had done something. Ooh, we had done something. We'd all convened at your house. We'd done something over the hill because I remember leaving your house and getting on the highway and thinking, man, maybe I should have gone to the bathroom. It was a long time ago. Maybe it was a wrestling match, or maybe we were coming back from a trip or something like that. And I was thinking, man, I probably should have gone to the bathroom at Sean's because I got the tingle, like the twinge, like maybe. And then you get to this point on the drive from over Highway 17 when between Los Gatos and Scotts Valley, there isn't really a place to go to the bathroom outside of the Summit House. There's a little bar and restaurant, but if it's closed and you're weird hours, then you're SOL. And I drove past the Cat's restaurant, which is the last turnout, and I get past it to the point of no return. Like as soon as you passed it, and as soon as I have it, it was like hey, you need to go right now. And guess what? I'm not going anywhere.
Oh man!
And I crawled into HQ through the gym. That was the only way I could make sure. Because I pulled off at HQ, which is about 15 minutes before I get to my house.
That's an emergency.
That was the closest. That was the closest trustworthy bathroom. Because I could not crawl into whatever grocery store was right off.
Exactly.
But
oh man. Okay. So now we're at number 2. So this for me will kind of go back to what you talked about earlier with the overhead compartment. Now, I feel like your behavior is okay because your bags always fit.
Yeah.
Mine is the person who doesn't understand how large the bag that he or she brought onto the plane is, and by hook or by crook, they're getting that thing into the overhead compartment, even though it is obvious to anybody with any sort of spatial awareness that this is not going to happen. And they're sitting there and like jamming it, and they're moving other things around, and they're punching it, and then the flight attendant comes up to say, "Sir, we're probably gonna have to check it." No, it fit in the thing out in front. No, it didn't. You're trying to get out of paying for this thing, and they're gonna check it for you for free. But that battle, they won't quit. They just sit there and they're punching it, and they're turning it around, and then they try to put it on its side, and meanwhile the line is just picking up behind them. And I don't understand how you get to that point where your bag is that large. And again, if there is a doubt, just check the dang thing. And you can do it at the gate, and they'll do it for free.
Yeah.
So even if there's any question, just say, hey, check my bag. All right. But that happens way too much. And I just don't get how we haven't collectively as a society learned that you don't bring giant baggage into the plane and try to get a hydraulic press out and just like jam it in there, because then when you try to get it out, same thing's going to happen.
Yeah. Heaven forbid if you're like one of those guys that's got like a small like maybe like a suit bag or something, and he thinks that he can get it up on top of yours, and they just and that poor stewardess every time just goes, have you tried putting it with the wheels facing the other direction? And you all know, like, nice try, lady.
Exactly. I know that's like the checklist you have to go through.
Come on, buddy.
It's clear that bag is not going up there. So that one just drives me nuts because, again, small preventable thing that is holding everybody up here.
That's a great one. That is a phenomenal one.
Number 2 is, we'll just call it the overhead compartment clogger.
I just love the clubber lane of carry-ons.
Just beating their luggage to death to get that thing in there is just, it ain't happening, man.
Like, dude, even if you get it in, you just ruined your bag.
Exactly. I hope you had nothing fragile in there.
Oh, man. Yep. Let's see. Okay, my number 2. My number 2 is, and this one is infuriating in the moment, and it's a little bit more specific, but it's when I'm at my in desperation. And this is won't put the shade down in person. Oh. So sometimes you either get in that and this is particularly true with international travel. You get into these plane flights and you're on planes at weird times, going to and from places, and there's some times where you get on the plane, you're like, I gotta sleep. I got to get some time in. If it's like a super early morning flight, if you're like on the 6 a.m. flight out, you're like, all right, that means if I'm flying, for people that don't understand, if I'm flying 6 a.m. out of San Francisco on an international flight or anywhere, like I'm up at 3 in the morning.
Easily.
Yeah, easily. And that means when I'm looking forward to sleeping on that plane when I get on that plane. And it's the worst when you nestle down, and I think it's at its worst when you have the window seat to like rest your head against to sleep, your shade's down, and then you can just feel the shade either come up or not go down, and that beam is just transversing horizontally just right into your eye sockets, and you're like, what is this unholy just assault on my life right now?
Someone may as well just grab the flashlight and just put it right in your face. Hey, you sleeping?
Hey. Oh, I hate that. And the one thing is, the nice part about this, and the reason why it's not number 1, is because every once in a while you get a travel angel that comes down in the form of a considerate flight attendant that just says, excuse me, sir, it's an early flight. Can you please put your shade down? And hopefully, more often than not, they'll put it down. And that is a lifesaver. But in those, like that 8 to 10 minute window, all I want to do is just tackle that person and throw them out onto the jet bridge before we take off.
Yes, that's horrible.
Oh man, it drives me nuts.
It's just having, and this is going to be a good segue to my number 1, because it's about having consideration for people around you. And we can all do this. Let's just work together. If it's clearly an early flight, I don't mind if you leave that shade up like during takeoff, because you want I like to be able to look out the window during takeoff. Just makes me feel safer. I don't know why. I just do it. But once you're, bam, put that thing down.
100%. And I think it's better for there's something about the heat. And,
it cools the plane down.
Cools the plane down. Yeah. So
okay. So my number 1. This one might be a little bit controversial, because I feel like there are a lot of offenders here who might think that they're not doing anything wrong, and I can absolutely see that point of view. But I'm calling my number 1.
Okay.
The recliner.
Oh.
And this is the person in the plane who sits in front of you in coach or economy, whatever you want to call it, and feels that he or she is going to use the entire range of motion on that chair and plop your tray table in your lap and not even worry about it.
Ugh.
And I know, look, you paid for the seat. You feel like you can use it. I have never done that without checking with the person behind me first. And the only time I've ever reclined my seat all the way, if not, there's a little bit of room, I think you're okay. But when we flew to Ireland last year, I got out my computer once we kind of leveled out and I was going to do some work, and it's cramped in there. So I'm doing, I got those arms going. the guy in front of me just boom all the way back, puts my computer in my lap. And I go, dude, like that. I just went, tapped him on the shoulder. I go, hey, man, can you give me a little room here? And he just sort of looked at me like, and then moved it up a little bit. But I feel like if you're going to do that, courtesy, turn around and check with the person behind you.
Yeah.
Hey, do you mind if I just recline my seat a little bit? And then I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
Go for it. And I remember when I flew to Australia for the first time for the Invitational, it was a red-eye flight, so we were flying overnight. And I remember I looked behind it. I was like kind of getting ready to go to sleep. And I looked behind me and the guy goes, yeah, man, come on back. It's all good. Okay, you sure? Yes, fine. Did it. But it's just the people who just, the second you hear that, doom, all the way back into your lap, and now you have no room. You can't eat. You can't operate your computer. Nothing. So
that's the worst.
It's just, and it's one of those things like with yours, with the food thing, and the shade. Just be considerate.
Common courtesy.
Yes. And yeah, that one drives me crazy because I know a lot of the times too, when they see me, they come walking in, the people in front of me, you see how cramped I am in here. I'm trying to be as small as possible because I don't want to spill over into the next seat because, why do you think that's okay?
Yeah.
And again, I know you paid for it.
Yep.
So.
But there's still a minimal amount of consideration that goes into it that can just make everyone's life so much better. So much better.
And then my knees are just, it's the worst. And you can, I know the guy felt it when you came back. You felt the impact on my kneecap. Dude, you had to have felt that. Oh, man.
And that's why, sometimes I'll perch up right behind the chair. Yeah. And I'll frame.
Mm-hmm.
So, if he tries to go back, I'll kind of, hit a wall. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Did you want to go all the way back? Oh,
because I can stand for the rest of the flight if you'd like, if that gives you more. Yeah.
We can talk about it like human beings and adults.
Exactly. It's all work together.
And then we can work together. Yeah.
So the recliner's number one for me.
So this was interesting. I feel like a lot of people won't have this one even on their list.
Really?
But this one is mine because I don't know why. Maybe I just am living in a simulation where everything that happens to me at an airport is like the episode of Punk'd from Ashton Kutcher. But my number one is I'm going to call the excessive jewelry person.
Oh.
So I can't tell you how many times I've gone through security and the person in front of me has been in the process of building a bangle jewelry collection while they're traveling and is literally taking off all of King Midas's gold to go through security. It's and it drives me, and it always comes in on the one time where I hit traffic on the way to the airport, and we're getting a little close, and things are a little bit tighter than I want, and I just look at these people, and they're and of course it's the person in front of me, so I can't always when we get to the security, and they're having to go back and back and back, and it's almost like everyone's focused on this person now, so I can't go around them. It's this person has never traveled before. Oh. It's they take off a couple of necklaces, a ring, a wristwatch, and
anklet,
and and then they go through and they're beep. They're oh, sorry, yeah, I have this Queen Cleopatra necklace that goes down to my breastplate.
I forgot my choker.
Yeah, there goes. Here's my stainless steel breastplate, and they just keep pulling stuff out. But what are you doing? Of course you can't walk through a metal detector with all of that metal on. They look like a scene for I'm Gonna Get You, Sucker, and the OG.
OG. Yeah. Got a bad amount of stuff on. That's a good reference, by the way.
Oh, man. And it's hilarious because it's happened to me probably 6 or 7 times at least.
Really?
I kid you not. And I'll be having conversations with them, and I'm we're oh, where are you traveling to kind of stuff. And I'm looking at them, I'm just like, You look like you walk in and robbed a piercing pagoda and then went straight to the airport. What is going on with you? And the worst part is I don't like drawing attention to myself when I'm traveling because I'm already random bag check Marquez. I'm already I don't know why I'm a high priority target for getting additional screening.
I feel like it's been better recently.
It has been better recently.
I got extra screening one time and you didn't. Yeah. I was like, what happened?
All right. Flip the script a little bit. But it's gotten better in recent. I think, you know what it is? ever since I got clear,
Okay.
and I get to pass that initial one, they're like, huh.
Better make sure.
Yeah, they're like, this guy. But yeah, it's it drives me nuts. And one time I was late to a flight, and I technically missed the flight, and they closed the bridge on me, and because this person took like 20 minutes to get through security, and it was driving me nuts. And I'm like, I was literally behind, Elizabeth. What was that? What's that woman's? She has the white diamond. She always wears all the jewelry. Old timey woman, Elizabeth Taylor.
Okay.
I was literally behind Elizabeth Taylor in line, and she had to take off like $30,000 worth of jewelry, and they're like, we're sorry. And then something happened on the plane where they had to like re-pull into the gate and deplane, and I got to go on.
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
I like
That's
got lucky.
karma throwing you
man,
the
it was
bone right there.
I got so lucky and kept my streak of never having missed a plane flight.
Good job.
Like alive, but always. It's funny because I'll snap a photo with my phone and I would send it to my mom because she's like, you get into these weird situations that I don't understand, and I sent it to my mom and she's like, holy shit.
Yeah.
I've never seen so much jewelry.
I know.
Like, yeah.
What are you doing? It's also like wearing the gigantic boots that lace up like past your knee.
Yeah.
You got to take that off, right?
Yeah.
Unless you're
yeah. I get it. You're in a rush to go to your next Seether concert, but come on. Like, what if you're wearing Hot Topic boots through the airport and there's more than 20 eyelets? Like, okay, maybe opt for the low cut boot.
Why is there not a lane for those people? It's like they should kind of sort you beforehand and be like,
Yeah.
oh, lane 12.
Yeah.
You're all laced up boots, get down there.
Yeah.
Excessive jewelry, you're down there with the other people.
Excuse me, ma'am. You're going to have to go to the My Chemical Romance line. But
Oh man, that's a good one. I have never experienced that, although I have experienced the people who are just not prepared for the security screening.
yeah. Oh, and that's
Not ready.
Yeah, and that's kind of, I guess that's like the weird cousin of that
Yes.
person where it's like, oh, my belt, oh, my watch, and you've buzzed it like 5 times, and it's like, did you last fly in the 70s when you could smoke on planes, or like what's going on?
Oh man, I had the one I had that almost made it but didn't, because I feel like we have come to understand this as a society, is the armrest rules on a plane.
Yes.
It's like if you're in a 3-person row, person on the aisle gets a little extra leg room, and then the outside armrest. Person in the middle, because that person is in the middle, gets both armrests. Person in the inside gets the window you can lean up against, and then that one armrest.
Yep.
That's how it should work. Those are the rules, and I don't like it when you get like I've sat in the middle seat, and that person just does the old newspaper and just spreads on out, and it's like, hey, come on, man! Like, I get both armrests. I'm in the middle.
Yeah.
I'm doing us a favor here.
Yeah,
So that was the one of mine that
that's a
didn't
good
make the
one.
list.
Yeah, another one. This one was tough. I've never been this person, thankfully, but the booze bag is the person that drinks way too much on the plane.
Yes.
They have to cut off, or maybe like they're on a layover and they went over to like the Yard House Airport Edition and just put down a beer tower. But
Yeah.
when that person is started and eventually they had I always dread the moment when the stewardess has to tell him, I'm sorry, sir, we can't serve you.
Yes.
And then we get the Randy Marsh.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I thought this was America. Is this America?
Or that same person that refuses to put his laptop away for landing. This isn't a problem. I'm not, it's like, why? Would you just do it, dude?
Yeah.
I know you're not going to die because your laptop is out, but that's the rule, and just do it.
That's another one I had to. I call him the freedom fighter.
There you go.
Because they're they won't accept any of the standard regulations. They're just like, what? Everything is, and I get why this is applicable outside of a plane, but everything is an encroachment on their personal freedoms,
Right.
And they need to fight back, and or they need to give the stewardess an earful, and it's just like, come on, dude, we're gonna be out of this plane in 10 minutes. Just put your laptop with whatever game of Mind Cell you're playing away, and let's get off.
I agree. All right. Well, those are our traveling pet peeves. Let us know what yours are or why we are wrong about one of ours. We always enjoy the conversation that happens. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. And for Tommy Marquez, I'm Sean Woodland, and we will talk to you guys next time.